Aloha and welcome to Global Connections. I'm filling in for the host, Dr. Carlos Juarez. My name is Dr. Justin Vance. I'm a longtime history professor at HPU and currently serving as interim dean of our military campus programs, recently renamed the College of Extended and Interdisciplinary Education. We're here today to talk about the trends in higher education, especially some of those trends related to non-traditional students, and what HPU is doing to stay ahead of the curve. And with me today is a person who has a passion for helping non-traditional students. Her name is Dr. Kasey Wilson. She is actually my assistant dean for the College of Extended and Interdisciplinary Education. And thank you for joining us today, Kasey.
I'm happy to be here.
So maybe you could just kick it off for us, Kasey, by talking a little bit about some of the trends that we've been seeing in education the last decade or so.
Absolutely. So historically, in higher education, college has been for the 18 to 22-year-old student, particularly in institutions where students live in residential facilities. Your average going to college at 18 and living in the dorms situation. However, particularly the last 10 years, more and more what we call non-traditional students are participating in higher education. So these are students who are over 25 years of age. They have many times families, they have jobs, they have responsibilities. And so it's a challenge for them to access education, but it's vital for them to develop their skills, to be able to get the kind of jobs that they need, particularly here in Hawaii, good paying jobs. And so for institutions to continue to make education accessible to these students requires universities to kind of think outside the traditional box and figure out how can we make it accessible. They may not be able to go during the day. They may have a hard time actually getting to the campus. They may not be able to go full time. They may not be able to go consistently. They might have to take terms off. So what can we do to try to serve the needs of this population group? And you and I have worked in this area together, actually, more than 10 years, which in itself is kind of unique. But we've been pushed to develop techniques for a particular segment of that adult population, and that's for the active duty military student, their family members, and veterans who probably have the greatest need for flexibility given the job that they do and the role that they serve in our society. So maybe you could talk about a little bit about some of the things that we've done in military campus programs over the years to provide that access to education to the military community.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so this is a trend in higher education. While the traditional residential campus is still very important, and HPU puts big emphasis on that. But HPU recognizes the need in the community for those adult and in our case, military students as well. And so HPU has been serving those students actually for a long time, even though it's a recent trend in higher education, becoming the majority, it looks like, of students. However, the military has had this need for since the beginning, because they do move around a lot, they get deployed a lot, they have day jobs. And so HPU actually got into the business in 1974, about 10 years after the university was founded, in delivering higher education on the military bases to help the military and their family members achieve their educational goals. So it's been about 40 years HPU has been doing this. As Kasey mentioned, her and I have been involved with it about 15 years now in Hawaii. So originally these included things like weekend classes, evening classes, classes in extended locations, such as our campuses on the military bases or even on board ships in some cases. And the program was known as satellite programs for a very long time. About 2002, it was renamed military campus programs because it really, the name fit with our mission more because most of our students were military at that time. And in 2003, when the war broke out, right after September 11th and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, the military had to move around a lot more than ever before. And at that time, we started developing our online education program. And so that's another one of the trends, of course, is online higher education. And we started to do that 2003, 2004. In 2005, I taught HPU's first history class ever offered online, undergraduate history class offered online, and which was a big step because historians are not the fastest to adopt technology normally.
Right.
And so online education became important to higher education and HPU and the military, and so that's something we've tried to stay ahead of the curve on as well. And then altogether, HPU student population in military grew over the years. At some points, we've had as many as 3,000 different students attending HPU who are military affiliated. We have about 2,000 at the current time as the size of the military grows and shrinks and things. And we're #1 in Hawaii and #1 in the state of Hawaii in serving military and veteran students. And HPU is also ranked very highly nationally, normally in the top 25 to 30 schools in terms of their support in quality and quantity of military students.
Right, and so because of our history of serving military students, it's helped us to kind of stay ahead of the trend. And so we've been doing online courses for a long time. We've been figuring out how to serve the needs of that non-traditional student for many years. And so now as the industry kind of catches up and there's more and more adult students who want to access education, we're well positioned to continue that conversation. And as part of that, as you mentioned before, HPU has now made the military campus programs its own college, the College of Extended and Interdisciplinary Education. And that is going to allow us to do what we have done for the military for many years for civilians. So that's a very exciting thing for us because that, again, puts us kind of at the forefront of what's going on nationally and helping us to look at new modalities, new ways that we can be innovative and stay out ahead of the pack and serve more students, which is really what we what we live for, what our mission is, and so it's an exciting time for us.
Yeah, and a couple of those things that the college will allow us to help students more. What are some of those things that allow us to help students more than we were able before?
Well, for one thing, we will be allowing civilians to access our programs, which is not something that we've done in the past. And I think it's very forward-thinking on HPU's part to understand that it's not just the 18 to 22-year-olds that need access to education, and really a tribute to their commitment to the state of Hawaii. Because many of these students they're going to be locally based students that will be involved in this program. So there's several new degree programs that we've developed to meet this need.
Yeah, I'm excited. So our faculty now in the college can actually create academic degree programs specifically with adult and military students in mind. Flexibility with academic integrity has been one of our mottos for decades now. And also we can actually look at the majors that the students are looking for to take into the workforce.
Okay. So what are some of the degrees that were developed to meet those particular needs?
Yeah, so we'll be continuing to offer the degree programs that we've offered historically that the main campus colleges allows us to deliver. We have some degree programs that are specifically been created or retooled for adult students now. One that we're excited about is the Bachelor of Public Administration. It is leadership and supervision for the public sector, where business would be for the private sector, right? And we have a lot of our students who are living and working in Hawaii, either for the military, the Department of Defense, the state government of Hawaii, the different national government agencies. And this, we think this is a perfect degree for them. Even if students maybe were choosing business before, this degree could be, more in line with their goals, and also a degree program that really wasn't available at the bachelor's level on the military base or in the extended community, which will now be available to them.
Right. That degree is also good for my particular area of interest, which is nonprofit management. My background, besides in higher education, has been in nonprofit administration, and I'm very excited about that particular degree because I do feel that there is a kind of a hole in availability and access for people who want to pursue more education in that area. So that's definitely an exciting new program. And the thing about these programs that makes them accessible is that not only all of our programs are offered all online. And so that provides that flexibility to the adult student that they need to juggle their other responsibilities. They're offered face-to-face in the classroom at 6 locations around Oahu, but they're also offered online, and that for the military has been very essential because not only have they been deployed, but they transfer before they finish their degree, and so it was really important for them to be able to complete their degree once they left here, and that kind of flexibility is what other adult students can benefit from also.
That's right. That's right. Maybe you could talk about the Human Resource Development degree, which is one that is also sort of ideal for some of our military students, but maybe I'll benefit some others in the community as well.
Yeah, I think that one is going to really meet the needs of a working professional, because that degree has some courses in training and development. It also talks about how to develop online courses, online training, which people can use in the workplace. It's got a talent management course. It's very, very applicable. I think of all the new degrees that we have developed, it's the one that people are most sort of excited about and perk up when we talk about it. So I definitely think that the military will be interested, but it will hopefully really help a lot of working adults to be able to get to that next point in their career. I think it's even a good, really a second bachelor's degree, because you may have majored in business, but then this is a particular niche area in human resource development that you might be interested in coming back and getting additional credential in.
Outstanding. Well, let's take a short break, and then we'll be back with Kasey, and we'll talk some more about the trends in higher education.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, Keith.
My name's Keith Bettinger.
I knew that.
And I'm the host of ThinkTech Asia.
I knew that too.
Here on ThinkTech.
Fabulous. You got a great show going, Keith.
Thank you very much. And for our viewers out there that are interested in ThinkTech Asia, it airs every Tuesday from 4 to 4:45, and it can be accessed online at thinktech.com.
Yeah, so what kind of guests you like?
Well, we have a number of guests from academia, from practitioners of international affairs. Sometimes we have military officials. Sometimes we have public officials on the show. And our goal, we try to talk about current issues in South Asia, Southeast Asia, East Asia, and Central Asia, all throughout the Asian realm, in more depth than you would find in traditional mainstream.
That's the
media.
difference, isn't it?
Exactly.
That you're reaching out beyond what ordinary news media would do.
Right.
That's why we like you so much.
We're trying to provide a thinking person's perspective, an intelligent perspective on what's going on, and we're both sides of the story, or even when there's more than two sides, we try to cover every angle. And I think that that's one of the big benefits that we provide here at ThinkTech is it's a really innovative source of educational programming for the people of Hawaii.
You're great, Keith. You are a great host. You got a great show going on. I watch it every week.
Thanks very much.
Why don't you guys watch it every week too, okay?
4:45 to 4 to 4:45 every Tuesday.
All right, welcome back to Global Connections, here with Assistant Dean Kasey Wilson from HPU's College of Extended and Interdisciplinary Education. Well, we left off, we were talking about some of our degree programs that we felt are in line with staying ahead of the curve in higher education and serving the community. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about those degree programs, and then maybe talk about some of the other community needs and some of our alumni before we finish up. But the Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice is one that we retooled. It's a degree that we've offered at HPU for a long time. The majority of the students enrolled through our adult and military program. And so we're excited about that. Anything you want to say about that program?
That particular program is headed up by a retired HPD officer, decorated and well-known for hostage negotiation and very well connected in the police community here.
And I know her CSI class is popular.
Is very popular, yes. So again, we feel like this is going to really help local people who are interested in getting into law enforcement. This would be an excellent credential for them to have.
And it's been renamed the Criminal Justice from Justice Administration because the faculty felt that better described the
Right.
content.
And with the courses being at night and online, it can help somebody who's maybe already working at HPD to get that degree while they're working.
Another one I wanted to talk about that is rather innovative, I think, is the BA and individualized major, which allows students to tailor the major to an area where they already have academic expertise in, right? Either credits from the military or from a training, corporate training that is accredited. They can use those credits not only toward the electives of the major, but actually toward the major itself. So, you know, if they're in the military, if they do intelligence studies.
Right, Department of the Defense.
Right.
Or maybe other types of federal training that's been evaluated for credit. That's a perfect example of something that would help a non-traditional student, because we can evaluate that credit and give them a chance to kind of get a step ahead in their completing their credential.
A lot of our students are transfer students, right? And especially this degree, maybe for somebody who's been to 6 or 7 different schools, or who's you know, sort of at the top of their profession, and what they're really looking for is to use their credits and experience toward a degree completion program. So you'll see that's something many universities are heading toward, to allow the students to use the knowledge they already have toward that. Two associate degree areas that are new for us that we've had a lot of student demand on.
Right, so I'll talk about the associates in health professions, and I'll let you talk about Homeland Security.
Okay.
How's that sound? Okay, so the associates in health professions, it has all of the requirements that HPU has designated before you can go into the nursing program. So it's the perfect degree for somebody who wants to get into the health industry and either wants to go into nursing or maybe a health science area or some other sort of allied health fields that they might be interested in.
Pre-med or public health.
Something like that, right. Specifically for the military, there are some kinds of training programs that they have. dental school and pharmacy school and so forth, and they have certain requirements that they need to do in order to get into those schools. And so we put this together and packaged it to help them to be able to get that associate's degree and prepare for those additional.
And offered in a flexible way, right? Because that is one of the challenges with the medical degrees, is they're usually in a traditional setting.
Right, and so these are, again, at night, online, and offered at one of those 6 locations. I think that one will probably primarily be at our Tripler location, which makes sense. Right.
And the one you asked me to talk about, the Associate of Science in Homeland Security, it is an area, it's a new academic discipline about 15 years ago, which has not gone away. We have a lot of our students would like to go to HPU, but we haven't had that degree. So we are now offering it. And we have the expertise between our diplomacy and military studies program and on our criminal justice program. We already offered some homeland security courses. And so we created some additional ones as well that we needed to put together this degree program. And I believe that we'll expand it into a bachelor program, maybe even a master's program in the future.
Right, and that's really a good example of something that is going to help people to get jobs in the Homeland Security industry. And the Department of Education and the Obama administration has really put a lot of emphasis on trying to make sure that that people are able to get jobs after they get out of college. And so these degrees are really specially designed to meet that need.
Excellent. Well, I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about some of our students, right? I know both you and I, our thing that keeps us going in the face of any and all challenges is helping our students achieve their goals.
Right, and we're very proud of many of our alumni who go on to achieve great things. I was just in Washington, D.C. earlier this year and saw 2 of our alumni who are working in Washington, D.C., one for a senator and one as a communications expert. It was great to see them being so successful there. And I know you have direct experience with one of our famous alumni also working in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, U.S. Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard is one of our HPU alum and took almost all of her courses through the military campus programs, and she is really a good example of someone who took advantage of some of the, we keep using the word flexibility, but what that flexibility means. She came to us, she was a transfer student. I think she had some credits from the local public system. And she came in and she took classes on base, she took online courses, she was deployed to Iraq during her time at HPU. She attended OCS while she was a student at HPU.
She was Officer Candidate School for the non-military oriented.
Officer Candidate School, right. She was originally enlisted in the Hawaii National Guard and then got a commission. They allow you to go to OCS if you're accepted to a program, which you can go before you're finished with your degree, but almost, has a certain number of credits toward your degree. And then got her commission and eventually graduated with a BSBA in International Studies, International Business, sorry, BSBA in International Business, so business degree, but with some of the diplomatic and history courses that we offer are included in there. And so I had the pleasure of having her as my student in summer of 2006 in my World Civilization class. So she's one that we in HPU are very proud of, and also we're very lucky to have her as a supporter of military and veteran, higher education for military and veteran students today.
And that's a good example of what we're talking about, that there are many people who are not outside that 18 to 22 traditional higher education range, but they're doing amazing things. They have goals and there are ways that they can contribute to the community, and they need to have access to education so they can finish up those degrees.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's often missed. Depending on your school of thought, on the philosophy of education, there is a thought out there in some schools of thought that the talented students can only come from the traditional track. But you and I both know, and our faculty know from experience, that there are diamonds out there, people who are so incredibly talented that just never got the chance to go, didn't have the opportunity or the luck to go to a traditional residential campus, and take 4 years off from responsibilities and work, and go to, spend 4 years
Right,
studying.
and there's a variety of reasons why that might be. It may or may not have anything to do with your natural intelligence or your academic preparation. It could have been a family issue that you had at that time, could have been economics, could have been where you were from, and not having that access. It could have been that you had the opportunity and you weren't a practically perfect in every way person, right? And you made a mistake at 18. Either you weren't ready, or you had the opportunity, you didn't take advantage of it, but now you're ready. Now you're a little bit older, you're a little bit wiser, and you want access to that education. And education changes lives. It absolutely does. And so the opportunity, whenever a student is ready and sees that and says, now I want to change my life by accessing higher education, we need to be ready to help them to meet that need. And so I think you mentioned before, I am passionate about it, because that's my life work, it's your life's work, and all of these new exciting platforms and modalities that are helping us to be able to meet that need, it's really exciting.
Yeah. Speaking of new platforms, we do have a new version of course that we launched in January, and maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about that. It's not in the classroom, it's not online, but it's a self-paced course.
Right. Well, it is online, but it's not. It's self-paced, so you access it online, but there's not assignments due each week per se. As long as you complete the course by the last day of the course, you can do it all during the first week, you can do it all during the last week, you can do a little bit at a time every day. It's self-paced with an expiration date, if you will. And that has been really great for military students who maybe were deployed for a part of the term but not the whole term, and so they didn't have to then miss the entire term. It's actually been really helpful for international students. We've used it with a number of students who needed to go back to their home country and had missed the start date of a term. We've used it with athletes who needed a little bit more flexibility with their degree requirements. This is a limited number of courses, mostly general education courses.
Mm-hmm.
The courses do have an HPU faculty member in there to facilitate them and to answer questions and help the students and encourage the students. But all of the content is delivered in a way that the student can kind of go as fast as slow as they need to, depending on their schedule, as long as they finish by the last day of the term. So this is a sort of a brand new tool in our arsenal that we're very excited about the potential for, and hoping to add some additional courses as time goes on.
Yeah, no, it's been good, and the student success rate has been surprisingly good. Not for all students, probably, but for the
Right.
students who need it, it's a
Right.
really good option.
It needs to be a very responsible, driven, self-motivated person, but it's a good tool.
Right. But some students actually are held back by other students, so this is one place where they can go faster if their own pace is faster. So
Right.
it's an interesting part of it as well.
Right.
All right, well, we need to take another break, so we'll be back shortly with the...
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage here on ThinkTech Hawaii. Center Stage airs every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and of course you can check out our archives on YouTube or on ThinkTech Hawaii anytime you like. Why should you do that? Because this is an arts show that I believe is making a difference in lives. We talk with artists of various ilk. We talk with painters and writers, playwrights, novelists, poets, sculptors, dancers, you name it, directors, actors, of course. And we don't only talk about what people do, but we talk about how they do it. And my favorite part of the conversation, we talk about why they do it. And it's really common on this show to hear people say, wow, I didn't think about it that way. And it's very common to hear people afterwards who have seen the show say the same thing. And I hear all the time that people are inspired by the conversations that we have. So why don't you join us and be inspired too? That's Center Stage on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. We'll see you Center Stage.
Hey, welcome back to Global Connections. We're here talking about some of the trends in higher education, especially those for non-traditional students. And I'm with Assistant Dean Kasey Wilson of the College of Extended and Interdisciplinary Education.
So another thing that we're able to offer now that we've never offered before is some courses that are non-credit courses. And so we call it our Career Advancement Program, or our CAP courses, because we have to have an acronym for
So
everything.
these are for students that are not looking for college degrees, but looking to get ahead in terms of training and professional development.
Right, professional development, workforce readiness. And these are also self-paced online courses, but you don't need to be admitted to HBU to take these courses. You can go to the website and go ahead and choose the course that you'd like to take and pay for the course and start it today if you wanted to, and finish it as quickly as you want to, or take more time if you'd like. And that sort of flexibility and accessibility, I think, is really exactly what adult students need. And this particular area, again, in terms of making a contribution to the local community, this idea came out of some local employers who spoke to some senior administrators at HBU and indicated that there was a need for that they were sending people to the mainland and paying large amounts of money for that to get some of this kind of training, and was there something that HBU could do to help the local business community. And so this is the program that we developed and are just announcing to the public this spring, and I think it has a lot of great potential, and I'm excited to see how it's going to help people in their careers.
All right. And are there other plans for non-credit type offerings?
There are. They're in the sort of infancy stages, but it's an area that, as part of this new college, we're going to be exploring, looking at potential for maybe some residency courses where you would do a little bit face-to-face and then do some online. We're looking at maybe some things where you'd have maybe a 2-week residency in the summer, and then you could do some of it online. We're just exploring ideas right now, and that's what we love to do. We're the people who really embrace innovation and being on the edge of what's possible, and looking at the landscape, seeing what other people are doing. What can we learn from MOOCs, for example? Is there something that they're doing in those courses that we could learn from? So just really looking at ways that we can meet the needs of this particular group. And one thing that we're doing from the student service side is, and other schools across the nation have been getting into this as well, is using a virtual platform for advising. So a student, wants to talk to their advisor, but they're working. It's very difficult for them to leave the job and travel to see the advisor and take all of that time, parking, traffic, all of that. So you can make an appointment online, 24 hours a day. You can make the appointment 24 hours a day. And then the advisor will send you a link, and then you just, at the time of your appointment, you press the link, and a chat room appears, and you're able to access your advisor to get the information you need. And again, very excited about being able to offer this to our students, because we feel that that's the kind of support that could really make or break a difference in an adult student who might be thinking about giving up, or might be thinking that it's just too difficult, they can't get the information they need, and by making our professional staff available to them via this virtual environment, it's just another step towards helping students be successful.
Yeah, it sounds like an innovative way to add flexibility to the student services side.
Right,
Even
exactly.
though so some would say what we've done is flexible, right? But this sounds even more flexible to stay ahead of the trend of flexibility that's needed. Yeah, every barrier, as you and I have experienced, is every barrier you put up to a student enrolling or reaching their educational goal, it lowers the chance, right, of their success. So it's really important to
Sometimes
minimize those.
Students don't have the confidence. If they haven't gone to school before, or it's been a long time since they've been to school, we really have to, again, lower those barriers and make them see that it is accessible. And I know, many times working in offices where a student will just like hang around at the door, or look at the brochures a little bit, but they don't even want to make the commitment of stepping all the way into the office.
Right.
And then when you end up speaking to them and finding out, what they were thinking, it was that not feeling worthy of, or not wondering if they were smart enough, or wondering if they had it in them to do. And so the ways that we can sort of lower those fear levels and support them along the way, because they have challenges that a traditional student doesn't have. A traditional student doesn't have, two kids, and a job, and, all of these things that they have to worry about. So whatever we can do to minimize the chance that they might not persist, they might drop out, or make it accessible for them. So like, for example, the self-paced courses, well, I can't really wait till the next start term. I've got this little window right here, but then I'm gonna have to go take care of my mom on the mainland or something, So I have this little window. Is there anything I could get done right now? Well, yes, actually, you could do this, and that'll take good advantage of your time. So always sort of leaning in and looking for what can we do to help support the students.
Yeah, and what you were saying earlier always reminds me of the saying, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, and I think that's especially true with higher education sometimes. I think for those folks that want to learn more about what HPU has been doing to stay ahead of the trends in higher education, we have you can go to our website at www.hpu.edu/military. We're also working on /CXE for College of Extended Education. But right now it's /military, hpu.edu/military. And also we are having some events coming up for those who are interested in learning more about what we're doing or are interested in our new program. So there's a graphic you see now, which includes an event that we're holding on Wednesday, July 29th.
Right, so this one will be at Hickam Air Force Base, and then we're having one the following Wednesday at Kaneohe Marine Corps Base. And these events are to let prospective students know, but also our current students who might be pursuing a different degree program, but they see that one of these new programs is really ideally suited for them. They can come and find out about that. And what's unique about these events is that there'll be some general information about HPU and how to enroll, but we're bringing out faculty members in each of these new degree areas, and we'll be giving a short 20-minute lecture about the actual content of the degree, so they can kind of see what it would feel like to be in class.
Like a sample lecture, so they can feel what the class, what it would be like to actually be in the class in a course in that major.
Right, and that's exactly to sort of minimize people's fears about what class is like. But also to see, is this really what I'm interested in? I think I'm interested in criminal justice, but now that I really hear about the content, maybe that's not. You know, sometimes people choose degrees and then they're halfway through the first semester and then they realize this really isn't for me. So these are short lectures, but we're hoping that they'll be able to ask the faculty member questions about the careers in these areas and what some of the content of the discipline is, and help them to make an informed decision. And then after that, what we'll do is we'll have advisors and transcript evaluators there on site who can speak to them about what's going on in their life and when a good time to start would be, or if any of these degrees are good for them, and also take a look at their previous transcripts and see what we think might be able to transfer into these degrees, and really what students could expect. And then help them go ahead and fill out an application if that's what they choose to do at that time. So.
Great. And also, if we don't have a degree that students are interested in, we work with other universities, and we want to give students the advice that's best for their goal. It may not be HPU. It may be one of the other on-island schools, such as Chaminade or Wayland, or other schools that are flexible as well for the adult students.
Right, and that's really a neat and unique, I think, feature and aspect of our educational ohana here in Hawaii, is that we really work together. Those of us who work in this non-traditional student area, we work together for what's best for the student. And sometimes that's our school and sometimes it isn't, but we have great partnerships, and we refer back and forth to one another. And that's really part of being dedicated to student success.
Great. Wow, gosh, yeah. Any other trends or innovations you want to talk about before we have to end?
Well, I think we haven't quite gotten into this area yet, but I think other utilizing things like iPads and phones and apps to help the educational process is something that might be the next step for us to look at. Really, that next step of flexibility. I know some schools have sort of experimented in that area, but the key is, as we look at all these new innovative things, that we have to make sure that while we're providing accessibility, that we're not compromising in quality.
Right.
There has been a group of schools that maybe has gone a little bit too far in that area and have compromised equality and integrity, and that's really what we want to be committed to not doing. We are trying to provide access to quality education, and where we want to be flexible is in those areas of service and access, but not in content, right? So that when
the learning outcomes and content.
Exactly. When a student finishes a degree from HPU, and I'm sure other schools in the nonprofit arena feel the same way, that the outcomes are the same, and that we are really giving students what they've paid for and what they've earned, and that they're ready to go out into the world, make a contribution to society, and
compete against students from any traditional
absolutely
university.
Right, and that's the challenge. That's the challenge: is how do we make it flexible? How do we provide access, and how do we still keep that quality? And I think that's what makes what you and I do exciting.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Kasey.
Thank you.
And thank you for all your contributions to higher education.